Welcome to Melissa's plant-based webinar with a taste of the tropics. My name's Michelle Groh and I'll be your moderator today. Thanks for joining us. My co-hosts are Kenny and Tess, who I'll be introducing in just a moment. We've muted mics and disabled video for our guests today, but you'll still be able to engage in real time with our panelists. Simply use the chat section to ask questions and we'll relay your questions to Kenny and Tess in real time. We have some great giveaways scheduled throughout the webinar today, so stay focused and be ready to respond to our rapid fire challenge questions. The first person to respond with the correct answer in the chat section will win. There will also be a grand prize giveaway at the end. So without further ado, I'll go ahead and introduce my co-hosts. Kenny works at Melissa's in procurement, where he travels all over the world to develop grower relations while discovering regional fruits and veggies that Melissa's can then introduce to consumers through retailers nationwide. Sometimes you don't even have to travel far. Melissa's has discovered some pretty unique produce right here in our backyard. I'm sure you're all familiar with Ojai pixies and hatch peppers. Shout out to hatch season, which is just around the corner. Thanks for joining us, Kenny.
Hello, everyone, and welcome.
So, Kenny, how many countries would you say you've traveled to? And can you even keep count at this point?
There are over 200 countries worldwide, and I could honestly say I've been to over 50 of them. So that's a quarter of the countries of the world.
Wow. And Tess Masters, who you may know as the Blender Girl, is a local Angelino known for navigating healthy eating with an iconic kitchen appliance we all know and love. Tess is the author of The Blender Girl Smoothies, and The Perfect Blend. She's also the creator of the Decadent Detox Cleanses and Skinny 60 weight loss program. Welcome, Tess.
Hello, I'm excited to be here, but we really just all want Kenny's job, right? So we can just travel the world visiting farmers, growers, and learning about fruits and veggies. So Kenny, you want to pack someone in your suitcase? You go.
Well, I think you have a pretty cool job too, and I got to ask a blender-related question really quick.
Okay.
Can my immersion blender do the same thing as a countertop blender?
It depends what you're making, right? So if you're, I prefer countertop blenders. I love immersion blenders, but typically the way I would use an immersion blender is if I wanted to just sort of rustically blend up a soup and just do a one-pot soup and put it in at the very end just to break it up a little bit. There are, smoothies that don't contain really fibrous ingredients, nuts, seeds, chia seeds, things like that, where you can use your immersion blender, doing a quick salad dressing, emulsifying something, an aioli, things like that. An immersion blender is fantastic for. But there's certain things that an immersion blender just can't do. So if you've got a high-speed blender, for example, and you wanted to make frozen nice cream from frozen fruit, make nut butters, really pulverize, cashews, dates, chia seeds, beets, carrots, those kinds of things. An immersion blender just won't give you a super smooth consistency with things like that. And I find that a lot of the really small things get caught up in the blade and nothing gets completely fully blended in instances like that. So I think an immersion blender is a fantastic thing to have, but just know that it won't do everything that a regular full-size blender will do.
Okay, good to know. So we've gathered here virtually to talk about 5 summer-ready plant-based ingredients from Melissa's that you can find at local grocery stores nationwide. And what says summer more than tropical ingredients? The plant-based trend is huge right now, and current events have only amplified the benefits of swapping plants for meat and dairy products. All signs point to plant-based really being more of a movement than a trend, with plant-based expected to be an $85 billion market by 2030. Brands like Beyond and Impossible have really paved the way for the industry, but many medical professionals say that a whole food plant-based diet is the best that you can really choose for your health. So we want people to think about fresh produce over processed convenience products. And Tess and Kenny can both relate to using food as medicine, so we think they'll be great advocates for expanding your perspective around plant-based. So Kenny, what made you decide to switch to vegan?
Towards the latter part of 2019, I had some medical issues from cholesterol, high blood pressure, some extra weight, and and doctor prescribed me pills, and I go, wow, is this the answer, just taking pills? So I had a coworker told me about this documentary, and I watched it regarding a vegan lifestyle, and I turned into a believer, and literally on New Year's Eve, I went vegan, and I've been vegan ever since, and my cholesterol and my blood pressure is back to normal, and I lost 20 pounds in the meantime.
Wow. Well, you look great. Thanks for sharing your story. Tess, when did you turn to using food as medicine?
Ooh, I grew up on a pretty conventional meat and 3 veg diet, but my mum cooked foods from scratch. We ate very healthy. We didn't eat a lot of processed foods, but we were omnivores with a dilemma long before Michael Pollan made that fashionable. But I didn't turn into a vegetarian, or turn, I should say, until I was a teenager. I was just plagued with extreme lethargy, and at about 2 o'clock every afternoon, I just needed to take a nap. I was just so tired. So I was finally diagnosed with Epstein-Barr virus, which is kind of a sister condition to chronic fatigue. I was very tired, and they just prescribed me rest. And so my mom, just not happy with that, said, no, there's got to be something we can do with food. So she took me to a naturopath, which is sort of very, hippy-dippy back then. This was, 30 years ago. And he suggested I give up gluten and dairy, adopt a plant-based lifestyle. Plant-based meaning mostly plants, but not exclusively plants, right? So I did that for a while, and I just felt better, within a week. And so that was really the impetus into a revolution into the way that I ate. And so I dabbled with all kinds of so-called diets or ways of eating. I was macrobiotic for 10 years. I did Chinese yin and yang principles, Ayurvedic philosophies. I was a raw foodist. I did all kinds of different things. And what I realize now is I'm much more into adopting an intuitive approach to my health, because there's so much conflicting information out there, but the one thing that everybody agrees on is that plants are good for us and we should be eating more of them. So I like to think of plant-based as in terms of the 80-20 rule. So depending on what your dietary stripes are, it's okay if you're eating animal protein or you're not eating animal protein, you're exclusively vegan, but we should all be plant-based, meaning that 80% of our plate should be non-starchy vegetables, and then the other 20% should be whole foods, whatever you choose to eat once you determine what is right for your body, right? So I am vegan, I'm gluten-free, I've been a vegetarian for a very long time, and I thrive eating this way. But I think what's so great about this webinar today is just this celebration that we think of, vegan or vegetarian. If you're eating fruits and vegetables, you are eating plants, and maybe you are already plant-based and eating a lot of plants already. If you want to incorporate more plants, then we're going to share some tips with you today. So I'm super excited about this.
Wow, incredible. Thanks for sharing both of your stories and showing how transformational and powerful that food can be. So today we're going to show our audience 5 whole food plant-based ingredients that ooze summer vibes. Travel plans may be postponed for the summer, but that doesn't mean your taste buds can't transport you to somewhere tropical, albeit most likely from your backyard right now. Each one of these ingredients make for great swaps for meat and dairy, and Kenny and Tess are going to help me tell you why. First up is our tropical avocado. I absolutely adore this avocado. It's huge and it dons a beautiful green skin. You could practically feed a whole family with this thing. It's so big. Kenny, where is this avocado from?
It's going to the tropical areas of the Dominican Republic.
Okay, and how is it different than like the familiar Hass?
Okay, so we have a Hass here. It's considered a large size Hass. And look at the difference.
Whoa, that's pretty impressive. So Kenny, personal question, how many different types of avocado do you think you've tried in your lifetime?
Wow, there is hundreds of varieties. I could honestly say I've tried more than I could probably think of, and each one is unique.
Wow. And so for this tropical, oh, sorry, I cut you off, Tess. What were you saying?
And again, we all want Kenny's job. If I could just travel trying different avocados, I'd be quite happy.
Very true. So Kenny, is the tropical avocado available year-round?
Yes, it is.
And
it's grown in an area where it's constantly about 80 degrees year-round.
that's in the Dominican Republic, right?
Correct.
So, what are some tips for selecting one at the grocery store?
Well, it's not going to turn darker in color like the Haas. It's going to always stay this color. But all you need to do is just a little bit, something like this, little bit of give, and it's actually ready to eat.
Oh, wow. Okay. And since they're ripe and ready, how should I store them when I get home?
You could leave them out for a few days, and then you could just put them in the refrigerator.
Okay. So, Kenny, what's your favorite way to enjoy this tropical avocado?
I just like them sliced, placed on a plate with quinoa, farro, and some other vegetables, and just eat them like with some balsamic, some olive oil, and just have it like that as a salad.
Yum. And if the audience wants to chime in on the chat and let us know their favorite ways to use avocados, that would be awesome. Tess, what do you think about the flavor when you compared it to a Haas?
You know, it's much, much lighter. So you know how a Haas is really rich and buttery and full, and it's kind of got that stick to your ribs texture. You smash it and you put it in guacamole, you'll use it as a spread on toast, use it to cream up dressings, smoothies, thicken them, that kind of stuff. I find with the tropical avocado, I mean, it's got about 30% less fat than a Haas avocado, right? And you can taste that. So I get a lot of emails from people because I use a lot of avocado in my recipes, right? And I would eat probably an avocado a day, right? I really love them. And some people will write to me and say, oh, they just feel too fatty. I just really want to reduce my feeling they're a little too rich for me. If you are one of those people, this is such a great alternative for you where you can get something, you know, all of the benefits of the avocado because, you know, it's full of glutathione, right, which is fantastic for our skin, all right? And we've got all these alkaline buffer minerals, we've got vitamins, you know, vitamins C and E. In fact, this has more than a Haas avocado in terms of those vitamins, right? So really, really good for our immunity, really beautiful health promoting fats. But I do think that it's much, much, much lighter and it tastes a little bit more watery than a Haas avocado, which doesn't taste like that at all. So they are very different, as Kenny said. And as he talked about, they don't turn. So it's very easy with these to pick them up from the store, leave them sitting on your countertop for days and days and days and think they're not ready, and then they can turn quite quickly. So just make sure when you get them that you keep monitoring them. It's like Kenny said, when they've got a little bit of give, pop them in the fridge and then they'll keep that way for a lot longer. So Kenny, can I just ask you a question about I've never had this happen with a Haas avocado where the stone stays very firm. But I find with these tropical avocados that you can shake them and the stone inside is loose. So is that an indication that it's ready? You know what? Because this one that I've got right now, it's like I've got little maracas, right? This one's not shaking, but this one is. So what does that mean?
You know, it doesn't mean it could be ripe or unripe, but you're right. It just grows so large and it just expands, and then just the pit kind of just comes loose. And okay. Yeah, people do that. You could shake it, and then the pit's rolling around in there. But I don't think it's an indication of ripeness at all.
Okay, and we shouldn't be worried if we get one that shakes like an instrument. It's all good, right? Okay.
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this avocado sounds pretty yummy to me, and I think at this point we're putting avos on everything. Am I right?
Yes.
Okay, folks, it's time for our first quick fire challenge. Remember, the first person to respond with the correct answer in the chat wins. So here it is. Question 1. Where is the tropical avocado from? I've given a few teasers out there, so hopefully you were paying attention.
And whoever puts it in the chat, they're winning a case of avocados. Is that the first prize?
Well, I'm going to announce that shortly here. And we have the correct answer from our audience, which is the Dominican Republic. And Pamela is our winner. Melissa's will be sending you a 6-count of our tropical avocados. So yes, Tess, we'll be sending her a case.
Nice.
Sorry.
That's okay. It was a good teaser. That way they knew what they were working for. So next up on our tropical lineup is Melissa's Saprana Mango. Did you know that mangoes are the world's most consumed and #1 selling fruit in the world? And if you're already a super fan of mangoes, let us know in the chat what your favorite variety is. People will travel literally from all over the world in search for the perfect mango. But before you go booking a flight to India, the quest ends here. Melissa's has discovered a way to bring you ripe and ready mangoes to the market for you. So Kenny, tell us, how'd you do it?
So we work on a method that's called preconditioning, which produces a ripe mango for us on a regular basis.
Okay. Can you tell us what preconditioning is?
Okay, it's preconditioning is giving Mother Nature a little nudge and to ripen a little quicker. And through a warm room with some high humidity, some natural fruit gases in there, it just speeds up the process. And what it allows you to do is not just get a hard green mango, which you're scratching your head is going to ripen this week or late next week. What it does is in 1 day, 2 days, 3 days, it's literally ready to eat. And that
Oh,
way you
wow.
can go to the grocery store and always have a ripe piece of fruit ready.
So is there other produce that I've eaten that has probably received this same type of treatment?
Yes, bananas has been doing it for 100 years. So bananas, for instance, always are green, but still you need to give it a little nudge to ripen. So in the stores, they'll ripen quicker. And also Hass avocados.
Mm, nice. We've probably all eaten those at this point. And Kenny, how would you say this mango, the Saprana mango, compares to like other mangoes that you would find or have access to in the US at the grocery store?
So there's a variety. 99.9% of all the mangoes consumed in the United States are this one variety. But when we take these certain varieties, which are fewer, that are fiberless. And so when they're ripe, they cut like butter. There's no fiber. They're creamy and just sweet as can be.
Mm. And are these also available year round?
Yes. Yes, they are. We
Nice.
go from region to region throughout the world, and somewhere in the world, it's in season.
Okay, great. So I get it. The name makes perfect sense to me now. And for those that didn't know, Saparana means perfect in Punjabi, which is kind of the perfect descriptor for these mangoes. Love it. So Tess, what nutritional benefits are really going to seal this purchase for me at the store?
Well, mangoes are loaded with vitamins A, C, and E and phytonutrients. So they're really, really good for immune health, right? So we don't often think about our skin as part of our immune system, but it's actually our frontline defense. And so whatever we put on our skin, we absorb, right? So the nutrients in mangoes are fantastic for our skin. Mangoes also have glutamine, right? So that's an amino acid, right? So it's also good for brain health. It's good for respiratory health. It's good for digestive health. So mangoes are really, really good for our immunity, right? As well as all the other things I mentioned. And they're also delicious, right? So they've also got a lot of fiber. So again, like I said, for digestive health, right? So I am going to make a smoothie, which is obviously, as Kenny said, mangoes are so delicious on their own, right? You just peel them, you slice them, put them in open them up one side and the other, and then I take the stone and just bite away, right? I mean, it's just so good the way that it is. But I do think that there's a lot of other things we can do with mangoes, right? So obviously putting them on a fruit platter, putting that chia pudding, our yogurt parfaits, putting it on our cereals, all kinds of things that we know we do with mango, right? And mango is obviously one of the #1 most popular things to put in a smoothie, fresh or frozen, right? So as Kenny said, they're very, very buttery, very, very soft and delicious, very, very easy to use, all right? I have to say though, I find commercial frozen mango a little bit insipid and lacking in full flavor, right? So I always find that they give you the crappiest mango in the frozen section, right? What I did was I took some of the fresh mango and I allowed it to ripen, and then I chopped it up and I froze it myself, all right? So I'm gonna make one of my all-time favorite smoothies, and we are gonna give you the link, okay? So I cracked open, you can see here, one of the fresh young Thai coconuts, and we'll talk about coconut water in a little bit when we get to the coconut, right? So I put in 1.5 cups of the fresh raw coconut water. You could also use filtered water in this smoothie. It's totally up to you, all right? Now I'm going to make this a green smoothie, so I'm going to pop in a cup of baby spinach. Now you could do baby bok choy, you could do some kale if you wanted to, whatever you've got is great, all right? Then we've got our mango. I've got, 3 cups of mango. It really does depend on the sweetness of your mango, right? How much you're going to want to use, add, all that sort of stuff, right? So here is where we're going to do the salsa component, because mango is a really popular thing to put in guacamole, right? And salsas and things like that. So I have made a mango salsa smoothie. So I'm just putting in all the ingredients you would put in a salsa, right? So I've got some cilantro. Then I got some of the Melissa's organic mini cucumbers, right? And I'm going to put in about a half a mini cucumber is what I did. Then we've got to do our lime component, which is in any good salsa, right? So I've got some fresh lime juice. And then I zested a lime, all right? So how I zested it, I just grab it like this and just roll it over the top. Now, if you've got a microplane, you could do it the other way, right? But I find that's the quickest, easiest way. So mine captures it on the back. So I'm going to pop just a little bit in, just to boot up the limey flavour, because I do want it to be quite limey. So I've just got about 1/4 of a teaspoon. Here's the magic ingredient. I'm going to put in just a tiny bit of red onion. What? Red onion in a smoothie? That's what everybody says to me. Are you kidding me? You're not going to taste it. It's just going to bring in this incredible middle note. And salsas have a little bit of onion, right? So I want that note to come in, but I don't want it to be overpowering. Then I'm going to add just a touch of salt, right? This is a sweet smoothie, but it's got just enough of a savory note to be reminiscent of the most self-respecting salsa, all right? Now, you could do jalapeno, a little bit of heat, jalapeno, serrano, but because it's hatch chili season, I'm going to pop in just a tiny bit, just to maybe a pinch of the Melissa's hatched chili powder. So remember, these things are not just for savory dishes. You can add a little bit of heat to a smoothie, warms up the body, adds a lovely note to the smoothie. I find that a lot of smoothies, they're sweet and they're not much else. I like to go on a flavorful journey with smoothies, just like I do with a textured dish, all right? So there's our smoothie. I'm just going to blend it up till it's smooth and creamy. Hello.
I'm excited to see how this turns out. This will be the first time I've seen a smoothie made with onions, and that's pretty interesting.
Tess, is there a drive-through at your house? I'd come by and pick some up.
Tess, do you have a drive-through for Kenny so he can get a sample? Oh, she can't hear us over the blender.
Hear anything? It's like I'm cooking with power tools. So there is our mango salsa smoothie, all right? You can find the recipe. Oh, hello. Oh, that's so good, all right? Now, if you do not have the fabulous ripe mangoes and you're using frozen mango from the store, you may just want to boot up the sweetness just a touch. So you can use any sweetener that you want, but I'm just going to show you this liquid stevia. You could just do, 3 to 5 drops of that just to boot up the flavors a little bit without adding some added sugar to the smoothie, all right? Yum.
Love it.
I wish I could.
And we'll be sharing the link to that recipe with our audience so you can recreate this at home. And I do have a question from the audience, and this one's for Kenny, and it's asked from Mindy. She wants to know how the quality is controlled for these mangoes. So can you just kind of brief us on that process of quality control for our Saparana mangoes?
So we have to make sure we put the proper quality mangoes that go into every box. So we have them inspected. We make sure prior to going through the preconditioning process that it's the best mango in terms of color, texture. We already checked sugar levels through a meter, and it's just so every piece of fruit, which Saparana is perfect, could produce that type of good eating fruit.
Nice. Okay, round 2 of our challenge question. What does the word Saparana translate to in English? Remember, the first person to respond with the correct answer wins.
I love it. So while we're waiting for the correct answer, Kenny, can you tell me a little bit more about the sweetness test? How do you
Okay.
do that? What is the barometer for a quality mango in terms of that test?
We measure sugars, soluble sugars, and that's measured in bricks. It's BRIX,
Mhm.
and they have refractometers, a little portable digital meter, where you just take a little few droplets of the juice, you pour it into a cup, and it'll actually measure bricks. And they actually have a chart now where a good eating mango would bricks anywhere between 12 and 14. Our Saffaranas measure at 17 to 20, so it's off the scale in terms of sugar
Oh,
flavor.
wow. Alrighty, we have the correct answer from the audience, and it's from E. Martino, and the correct answer is perfect. That's what Saprana translates to in English. And Melissa's will be sending you a 6 count of our Saprana mangoes. So let's go ahead and cool down now with Melissa's sweet young coconut. Kenny, can you tell us where these come from?
Melissa's sweet young coconuts come from Thailand.
Okay. And what was it like visiting the farm?
Well, it's in Thailand. It's warm. It's tropical. It's rainy. It's a great farm. The workers we work with, the farms we work with, and just a wonderful place. And they produce a great eating piece of fruit here.
Nice. And are these coconuts available year round?
Yes, it is, because it's tropical. Also, it is available year round.
And do these need to be refrigerated?
Yes, it'll store in refrigeration up to 14 days.
Okay. So I love seeing these at the store, but I feel a little less eager when I think about opening them. Tess, would you be able to show us how to open it?
Yes, I'm so excited about this because obviously coconuts have been around for a long, long time. And people in Asia, for example, have been enjoying coconuts. You've probably been on a vacation, to a tropical island or something, and they've been serving you coconuts. But up until sort of the last 10 years, we've been a bit reticent to open them because we just didn't have ways to open them properly because there just wasn't the demand. Okay, so there are 2 fantastic ways that you can open a coconut. So Melissa's has a coconut opener, right? So it makes it really, really easy to drink the water out of the coconut, all right? So it comes like this, and you just take this piece off, which stops you from stabbing yourself, I guess, or hurting yourself because it's really, really sharp. And it needs to be sharp because you have to pierce through, and it's really, really easy. So you're going to take your coconut, you're going to just keep twisting, and then it makes a hole. Do you see there?
Mm-hmm.
So again, you can get a straw. You can put a straw in there and just drink it like you do, on a tropical island or something, okay? So what's interesting to me about this is this is so inexpensive, this tool. It is so easy to use. And the water from a young Thai coconut has so many incredible health benefits, okay? And what I've noticed is they will put coconut water in cans, in bottles, in the grocery store, in the refrigerated section or the non-refrigerated section. It's basically just sugar water, and it does not taste anything like the beautiful fresh water out of a fresh coconut, all right? And it's been pasteurized. So if it's in the long life section of the pantry section of the grocery store, it has been pasteurized, all right? If it's in the refrigerated section, it's been high pressure pasteurized. The only way that they can ensure that it remains shelf stable for a certain amount of time is to do that. Well, what happens when you pasteurize, even at heat or high it's HPP, you'll see on the back of the container, you're still going to lose nutrients, right? And the flavor's not quite going to be there. So what I've noticed is I went to the grocery store and I pick up coconuts. They're less expensive than buying the coconut from the store. And here's what's cool when you buy a young Thai coconut. These ones from Melissa's, which are in grocery stores across the country, you can open it up and not only use the water, but scoop out the meat, all right? So there are these fantastic tools these days that you can use, and you put it like this, and with one doing, you can open it up, all right? And then you open up the top, and then you take a spoon, and you can scoop out the meat. Now, that meat is so delicious for putting in smoothies to cream things up, making ceviche out of it. I freeze it. So what I do is I buy a case of them, and I can crack them all open and scoop out the meat in less than 30 minutes. And then I have coconut water and coconut meat for a month, all right? So I would freeze the coconut meat in little pouches, you know, like for smoothies and things, or for sauces for ice cream. I make ice cream out of the coconut meat, and I can freeze the water. So don't think that you've got to use it all, you know, just freeze it so you have it on hand. You can also freeze the water in ice cube trays. So it's a fantastic energy boost for smoothies. So here's the cool thing about coconuts. Coconuts are so good for immunity, all right? So they have stearic, myristic, capric, lauric acid, which is fantastic for combating pathogens and things, right? But you've probably heard coconut water dubbed as nature's Gatorade. It's a natural isotonic beverage that contains more electrolyte than most commercial sports drinks without all of the added sugar and the preservatives, all right? So don't be afraid of cracking open coconuts. Once you get the hang of it, it's actually very, very quick and easy.
Love it. And if the audience has any fun culinary ideas for these, be sure to let us know in the chat. You know, to Tess's point, I love enjoying a fresh coconut and would prefer them, you know, over canned energy drinks any day of the week. You know, athletes and fitness enthusiasts praise coconut water for being a terrific source of potassium as well to add power to their workouts. So we have our next challenge question up now. If the audience is ready, as a reminder, the first correct response wins. Do sweet young coconuts need to be refrigerated? And I see we're all paying attention. We have the correct answer from the audience already. Wait for it. Okay, Magda has the correct answer, which is that you definitely want to refrigerate your coconuts. So Melissa's will be sending you a 4 count of our sweet young coconuts along with our coconut opener. Next up on our list is our Melissa's Thai Nung Papaya. So Kenny, you'll have to really sell me on this one. Full disclosure, I've certainly tried papaya, but I've never actually purchased one at the grocery store. But I'm ready. And I'm on board with this plant-based trend, and I know that that means incorporating more variety into my diet. So tell me why it's got to be the Thai Nung papaya.
This variety, unlike others, it's smaller, it's more user-friendly, and you can see the nice red color flesh right there, just sweet and delicious, not overwhelming, and it's just the size alone. And so there's just a good other varieties out there, but it's really consistent, good flavor, and we have this variety right now.
Nice. So where are these from?
These are from Mexico.
From Mexico. Okay. Little confusing for me, but I'm on it. Are they available year-round?
Yes, they are.
And how would you recommend that I select one at the store? Like, what am I looking for?
So something like this, you can still see it's green, but there's some yellow already, and just a little bit of give to it, and it's ready to eat.
Okay. And how should I store it when I get home?
You could leave it out for a little bit, but you could also keep it in the fridge when it gets a little softer and ripe, a little more color in it.
Okay. And would you compare the flavor, or how would you compare the flavor of this papaya compared to other varieties?
So other varieties are maybe 5 times larger, but look at the flesh. It's just a lot more flesh in there, where other varieties are larger, but it would be maybe not even half as much. And they say they're somewhat overpowering some of the flavor. So we prefer for this one is kind of mellow and just kind of in the middle there.
Okay. What would you say is your favorite way to eat a papaya, Kenny?
Oh, I just like to just slice them up and just eat them out of a wedge, maybe with with a little lime juice.
Okay. I like that. Just a clean, simple approach. I feel pretty sold and confident that I could at the very least do that. But Tess, you got to help me out here. What will adding papaya into my plant-based routine do for me, nutritionally speaking?
Yes, I mean, papaya is one of the most cleansing foods you can have, all right? So if you're wanting to detox, cleanse, papaya is fantastic. So we were talking about potassium before, right? In the coconut water and the coconuts, papaya is also a really good source of potassium. So we've been taught to watch our sodium, but we also need to be making sure we're getting enough potassium. So we know that bananas are a great source of potassium, right? But so are papayas, all right? So we need to make sure that we're getting a good balance between sodium and potassium, because those two minerals work in consort with each other to help regulate fluid balance in the body, right? And for us to reach true cellular hydration, right? You can be hydrating with liquid-based beverages and raw foods, but if that water and that liquid, that mineral-rich liquid's not getting into your cells, then you're not getting what your body needs to run better, all right? So papayas are a really great thing for that. They're also great for immunity, like mangoes. They're also a really good source of folate and fiber, all right? So I love papayas. The other thing too about these fruits is they contain fantastic enzymes. But so papayas are very good for our skin, right? So sometimes I will smash up a little bit of the leftover mango or papaya and I will put it on my skin. I do that with avocado a lot, right? Avocado's used a lot, but you'll see enzymes from pumpkin, papaya, all these things in skincare, right? It's because it's so incredibly good for your skin, but papaya is really good for your digestion as well. And it's very easily digested. So again, it goes through the body very quickly. So it's a really good thing. And I really agree with Kenny. I mean, he's an expert on this, but these are my favorite papayas because they are so user-friendly and they really do have a beautiful flavor. I find that the larger papayas, I don't like the flavor. I find them very overpowering and they're a little sickly for me or something. And so, yeah, just eat it on its own, put it on a fruit plate. You can freeze it too. I freeze papaya. So I will peel it, I'll dice it, I'll freeze it, I'll pop it in just like all of the other fruits. I will put it into smoothies to cream them up. So papaya and mango and bananas and avocados, those are one of the main ways that we will add a creamy consistency to smoothies, right? So papaya is really delicious. So you can just add papaya to a smoothie and then add some ice if you don't freeze your papaya, right? It adds a very, very beautiful, lush, very rich texture to smoothies, right? Papaya is also another thing that you put in guacamole and salsas. You know, there's lots of different things people do with papaya, right? My favorite smoothie with papaya is coconut milk or almond milk, papaya, lemon juice, lemon zest, and ginger. And maybe just a touch of cinnamon. Lovely, beautiful tropical smoothies, super easy, not a lot of ingredients. You could put a little bit of banana in there if you wanted to, but you don't need to.
Oh, that sounds amazing. And just looking at our chat section here, we have a couple questions for Kenny. We have one from Anita. She wants to know if the papayas are organic and whether or not that matters.
Well, there is. We actually do carry this Tainan variety organically, but for the most part, we do not carry organic, the ones we have here. But at the same time, does it matter? You know, a lot of our growers, they abide by certain food safety practices. So either organic or non-organic, you're getting still a good, safe piece of fruit.
Okay. And I have one more question for you, Kenny, from the audience. This one's from Chelsea. She wants to know, how does the flavor compare to the Hawaiian strawberry papayas?
The Hawaiian strawberry are delicious too. The sunrise varieties, the solo varieties. It's a little, I want to say those are Hawaiian varieties are somewhat a little bit, maybe a little stronger, where our Tainan varieties, it's just a little more mellow.
Okay. And here's a question back for our audience. If you could let us know in the chat section where you like to grocery shop for these items, that would be awesome. We also have our final quick fire challenge question coming up here. So I'll give you a quick moment to respond to that audience question. Get your fingers ready on the keyboard, because here it comes. Where does Melissa source their Tainan papayas? This one could be a little tricky. Tess, where do you like to shop?
Oh, I mean, it just depends. You know, I love to go to my local farmers market. I like to support local growers, and I know Melissa supports a ton of local growers in this area, which is amazing. So I would go to Ojai for Ojai Pixie Tangerines because I just think they may be one of my top 10 most favorite things on earth. And I do always go when you're roasting the hatch chilies for hatch chili season at the local grocery store. But, you know, I will go to Kroger, to Ralph's. You know, they have a fantastic organic section that I really like. I'll go to my local farmers market. I go to Sprouts Market, and I also shop at Whole Foods as well. So that's where I go. Gelson sometimes, you know, just sort of depends. Like I'm a bit of a produce. I like my produce to be really beautiful. So I will say a really great top tip is the men and women that work in the produce section of your stores, they're pretty passionate about what they do, right? So make friends with them, because that's what I do. I go really, really early when they're putting all the fresh stuff out, and they know me by name now. Like, I know Rob at my place and Bill, and they're just the sweetest people. And so if you can't find some of these things, just gently ask your local store and just say, look, I saw this thing and I really want to try these mangoes or these young Thai coconuts from Melissa's. Ask them, can they get this stuff in? And then maybe get together with a couple of friends and say, we'll buy a case if you'll bring it in. You know, I do that stuff all the time, and I've never had anybody say no to me. If you're really friendly and nice and you show an interest in what they're doing, I find that people that work with fruits and vegetables, growers, farmers, people that are putting out in the grocery store, they really love what they do, right? And so make friends with the people in your stores, because that's a way to get some things brought in, for sure.
I feel like that's a fairly typical response to this question. Many people shop at many different retailers. And, you know, just looking at our chat section, we have a question from Jane asking if Melissa's has a retail store in the LA area. We do not, but you can find our products nationwide at grocery stores, and you can also order our products online at melissas.com. So back to our challenge question, we did receive a response, and the winner is Donna B. The question was, you know, where do we source our Thai papayas? And the answer is Mexico. So Donna's going to be winning 2 count of Thai papayas. We'll be sending those to you. And for all of our challenge winners, we'd love to see how you enjoy your prizes from Melissa's. So if you want to post on social, be sure to tag us at Melissa's Produce and the Blender Girls so we can all see. So without further ado, we're saving the best for last, Melissa's Jackfruit. This ingredient is considered the world's largest tree fruit and has held the spotlight for quite some time as a great meat substitute in the plant-based lifestyle. You know, feel free to raise your hand in the chat section if you've ever broken one of these puppies down. You know, or if you're like Tess, you could even use it as an impromptu workout assist. Great for, you know, working out your arms by raising it. But going back to Kenny, can you let us know when Melissa's first started carrying these?
We started carrying them about 5 years ago.
Okay. And where are they grown?
They are grown in Mexico.
Can you sort of paint a picture of what this place looks like for us?
Yeah. The farm, you can imagine, here's a jackfruit, you know, largest commercial variety, could weigh over 100 pounds, but you can see I could easily take it over my head there. And could you imagine a tree 30 feet in diameter, height, and anywhere between 4 to 10 pieces on any given branch? And so what to expect? So they actually have supports from ropes to poles to support the branch from breaking. But every now and then you walk around the field and not only branches break, but I actually seen trees split because of the sheer weight of 50 to 75 pieces of fruit on any given tree.
Wow, that's incredible. So is jackfruit available year-round?
Yes, it is.
Wow, okay. So do you have any selection tips for consumers while they're at the grocery store looking for a jackfruit?
They come in nice and green. They turn a little bit of color, a little spotting too, but basically after that it's dry.
Ooh, sorry, that was me. My phone is going on my computer. I'm so sorry about that, Kenny. Continue.
But anyway, going back to the ripeness, just a little, you know, it's still going to be green, just a little light in color maybe, but it'll be ripe, and you can see from here that it's ripe inside already, ready to eat.
Oh, it's beautiful. So Tess, maybe you can talk about how this fruit was able to push its way to center stage on the plate.
I'm just telling that was my sister to not call me back, because sometimes she calls me 3 times, so I don't want to call for that to happen. I'm so sorry. I've got all my devices synced up. So that's never happened before. I apologize, everybody. Jackfruit is so amazing. And the reason why I was holding it like this is something that I learned from Kenny was that they take 9 months to harvest. So they kind of, to me, are the size and weight of a baby, and the gestation is the same. So I love jackfruit, but they sort of look intimidating, right? Because they're enormous. And this is actually a small jackfruit that I have in front of me. They kind of vary in size and they can get quite large. Jackfruit has become so incredibly popular in the plant-only / vegan world because it is such an incredible way to replicate the taste and texture of pulled pork, shredded chicken, things like that. So you'll see it a lot in Mexican restaurants now. There's often jackfruit tacos or jackfruit carnitas, jackfruit fajitas, things like that, right? So you can buy jackfruit canned, and you have been able to do this for many years, and they come in syrup. So traditionally that was used for sweet applications, right? So you can pour it over panna cottas and porridges and chia puddings and things like that, right? But the syrup is full of refined sugar, right? Then you can get it canned in brine. And that's the stuff that we see a lot at the grocery stores. Trader Joe's has one for less than $2 in a can. That's in brine. And if you're going to do that kind of application, that's the one that you want to buy. Do not buy the jackfruit in the sugar syrup if you want to use it to make jackfruit tacos, carnitas, quesadillas, things like that, all right? You want the stuff in the brine, okay? But what I love about fresh jackfruit is then you can do either with it, right? And you can cut it open. And Melissa's has an amazing video for this. It's really, really easy to follow. So I learned from Kenny and Raquel and Robert and some other people at Melissa's how to open up a jackfruit. And just like the young Thai coconuts, I was intimidated too. What do you do with this, So watch the Melissa's video, and there's so many how-to videos about produce, how to cut them open, how to store them, what to do with them, at melissas.com, on the website, the Melissa's Facebook page, Instagram, that kind of stuff. So you want to make sure, just don't be intimidated. Like when you see something, this is what I do at the grocery store. What is that? And I just pick one up and I go home and I figure out what to do with it, because we're really just sticking to the same sort of 20 foods is what they estimate the average person in the United States is doing, right? And if you think about other cultures, like Native American culture, they were eating over 200 foods, right? So just expand your horizons and look at something. And that's so great about Google. And what's great about Melissa's Produce, the website, melissas.com, there's so many free resources for how to use these things. So don't be intimidated about how to open. I'm only not doing it in the video because it will just take a while. We just don't have enough time. So watch the video and they're going to show you much, much better than I will. But you can make also sandwiches, right? So barbecue. So they barbecue jackfruit. So you'll see in some restaurants too, they'll have like a jackfruit sloppy joe, and they'll kind of be replicating that kind of barbecue flavor, right? So jackfruit's great for sweet and savory, all right? It's very, very much like avocado and lots of other things, right? But definitely don't be intimidated by the way that this looks. It may look prickly and scary on the outside, but let me tell you, it is just a treasure trove of yumminess. So yeah, it's exciting.
Love it. We do have a question for you, Tess, from the audience. This one's from Pamela, and she wants to know if you can eat those huge seeds inside of the fruit.
I don't eat them. I just eat the flesh. All right. So Kenny, what do the growers say about that?
So actually not the seed particularly, but the pods inside are just chewy, delicious.
Oh, right. I'm so sorry. I misunderstood you. Yes. Yum, like candy, delicious. Yes. Sorry.
That's good. I have heard you can eat the seeds. It's just more of like this labor-intensive process. You have to roast them first before you do anything with them.
Yeah, that's why I don't do it. But I mean, you can if you want to. But here's the cool thing about this. Just like watermelon seeds, right? Now they're commercially available, sprouted and all prepared, all right? And it's watermelon seeds are like a cross between a cashew and a sunflower seed, right? But there's only one company that does them. I bet in the next few years, with jackfruit raised into prominence, maybe Melissa's will do it. you'll be able to get prepared jackfruit seeds. I bet you. Over to you, Kenny. I'm laying down the gauntlet. Let's go.
And we did get a few responses in our chat as well for this question. Faye has made hummus from the seeds before, so that's interesting. But remember, you just have to cook them first. That's the main thing before you can use them. And in conclusion, there you have it, folks. We've just featured 5 summer-ready plant-based ingredients that are begging to make it to your plate this season. And since these are all available year-round, you can pretty much be on island time for as long as you'd like. And without further ado, now's our time for our final grand prize giveaway. So for those who answered our quickfire challenge questions, you were entered into a giveaway drawing. So we've randomly selected a winner, and I will be notified who that is very shortly here. But I loved hearing all of those different ideas for the seeds.
Yes. I need to get on this, people, don't I? I've got to start using jackfruit seeds. I've been a bit lazy, I'll have to tell you. I've been caught out. Kenny's enjoying this. He loves it when I get caught out. Yes, I got caught out. I've been lazy with my jackfruit. I got to up my game. If that was Faye Levy saying she made hummus, Faye, I know you, so send me that recipe because I want to make some jackfruit seed hummus.
Yes, especially since we have more time on our hands, staying at home more often. I'm making all sorts of things in my kitchen right now.
Yes.
And congratulations, E. Martino. You'll be receiving a deluxe exotic tropical gift basket from Melissa's. And I want to thank you all for joining us today. Tess mentioned earlier, but if you're out shopping and you have any trouble locating these items at your favorite grocery stores, just let your produce manager know, ask very nicely, and I'm sure they'll go ahead and try and bring that in for you. And once you get home with your summer-ready plant-based ingredients from Melissa's, be sure to visit theblendergirl.com and melissas.com for some tasty recipe ideas. You can also stay connected with Tess by following her on Facebook at The Blender Girl, where she does a lot of Facebook Lives featuring produce from Melissa's. My name is Michelle Grow. Thank you, Tess and Kenny, and thank you all for joining us virtually today. We hope you enjoyed learning a little bit more about tropicals today. Bye.